It's day 2. We're at California's Great America. Took us a couple hours to drive down here. We were hoping to get there by rope drop. We were a little late. We were walking in the park through the turnstiles maybe about 10:03, so not too late, but we did miss the actual rope drop. We walked past Railblazer. The weather on this day was pretty bad. It was raining on and off all day, and so we skipped Railblazer for the time being because it was closed due to the rain. They had run one train with people and then it closed. Fine. We went to do Psycho Mouse because we knew that we needed to do that as early in the day as possible because that's a very low capacity ride and the line moves very slowly. Prior to visiting this park, I watched Coaster365's vlog from, I believe it was opening weekend. I will link that video below. That guided my trip. Thank you, Coaster365, for that video. Because of that video, I knew we had to do Psycho Mouse very, very early in the day. And I am so glad we did. That saved us so much time. We got to Psycho Mouse. There were maybe 4 people in front of us. We got on pretty quickly, but the problem with that ride is that getting off takes a while because of the way they load the cars. So we were waiting on the brake run longer than we were doing the ride. We were waiting on the brake run for them to pull us forward and let us off, but it was fine because we did it. Elle and I really like Psycho Mouse. It's a Aero wild mouse coaster. There's not a lot of them in existence. It was smooth, it was comfortable, fun layout, didn't hurt my shins like Coast Rider at Knott's. Our one issue with it was the seat that Elle was sitting in, the foam part was kind of peeling off and it was wet and that got her clothes a little wet and that was kind of annoying to deal with. So after Psycho Mouse we went to the bathroom and we kind of dried off, and fortunately because of the parking lot set up for California's Great America, we were able to leave the park and go back to the car several times throughout the day. So we did have that luxury of being able to go change if need be. But we got her as dry as possible, and then we went to Railblazer because it was open. Got a back row ride. Fantastic. I had heard a lot of good things about Railblazer. Railblazer is a very good ride. It's a strong RMC Raptor. However, it was rougher than I had anticipated it being. I've heard, Wonder Woman at Magic Mountain is kind of rough. Railblazer was rougher than Wonder Woman at Magic Mountain. I think I prefer Wonder Woman at Magic Mountain over Railblazer. However, Railblazer has a great first drop. The whole ride is very whippy. Super fun layout. It's a more compact Raptor than Wonder Woman at Magic Mountain, but a very fun ride. Very, very fun. The only issue was that the operations were very slow. After Railblazer, we walked over to Flight Deck. We walked through the queue. There was no one there at Flight Deck. The whole queue was very empty. Walked up, they did have a grouper, which I appreciated. There were 3 people waiting for the front row and maybe 2 people waiting for row 2, and the rest of the station was empty. So Elle and I were like, cool, we're gonna be able to walk on this ride. And the grouper's like, I'm gonna have you wait here. And we're kind of looking at her like, oh, there's no one in the station. Can we get on this next train? And she looks at us and just kind of is like, oh, I'm just gonna have you wait here for a minute. And we're like, okay. And so we watched them load this entire train with the 5 people waiting for the front 2 rows and nobody else on it. And she would not let us on this train. Very bizarre. Maybe they just aren't training the groupers on how to fill the trains. It was very odd because we could have gotten on that train and the grouper just refused to let us in the station despite it being very empty. After they sent this train, we did get to choose our row, so we chose the back row. And they let us re-ride, which was kind of nice. I really like Flight Deck. I've heard mixed opinions about it. Some people love it, some people hate it. I liked it. It's a B&M invert. It's very forceful. A little bit of head bonk, not bad enough that it was unbearable, but you get a little head bonk, so just be aware of that. Not the end seats. The inside seats tended to be a little bit smoother than the outside seats. But overall, much steeper first drop than Batman and Silver Bullet down south. Flight Deck has a nice little scenic route. You're going over a little lake. It's nice. It's a very nice ride. I liked it a lot. After Flight Deck, we headed over to Demon. We knew it was an Aero looper, and we've done Viper a lot. So I was prepared for pain. Ready for the credit, but prepared for pain. We did Car 3. Demon is a fun little ride. It's not super tall, but it's got some fun elements in there. It's got a light up tunnel, Didn't know that was happening. That was kind of fun. Like a rockwork facade that the train goes through. It was a lot smoother than both of us had anticipated. We did get some ear bonking in the corkscrew, but it was not as bad as Viper. Like, I've come off Viper with red ears. I'll still ride Viper. Demon was not that painful. Went over to Grizzly, but we got on it pretty quickly. I think we waited less than 10 minutes for it, which was about as long as I was willing to wait for it. This was our only ride on Grizzly the entire trip. Once the line started getting longer, we were not willing to do it again. Grizzly is one of their 2 wooden roller coasters. It does not go very fast. It does not have airtime. It's a good ride if you have younger children, I think, with you, but it was kind of a one and done for us. Despite the fact that when Elle and I usually go to parks, all we do is marathon roller coasters, we did want to get in some of the flat rides and other stuff they had because we know the park is closing, so we wanted to do as much as we could. So we did this flat ride called Tiki Twirl. We waited a little longer than we probably should have for it, but it did go down while we were waiting in line. Like, the restraints didn't come up, and so they had to kind of send it moving slightly again. And then we got on it. It was more fun than I thought it was going to be. It's not super extreme or intense, but it was a fun little flat ride. Both Elle and I had never done a flat ride like this before, but it was pretty fun. We were thinking like, yeah, maybe we'll do that again. Like, I would do that again if the line wasn't too long. We did wait for it while it broke down and they got it restarted, so that cost a little extra time, but not too bad. And at this point, it was probably around like noon or 1, and I have the meal plan, so it was time to eat so we could let the 4-hour interval start going before we could eat dinner. And this park had a Panda Express. Free Panda Express in a theme park hits differently than when you're paying for Panda Express not in a theme park. I can't explain it, but at this point too, I was living 5 minutes away from Knott's Berry Farm, so I was going to Knott's Berry Farm and eating Panda Express at least 3 times a week with my meal plan, just because I could and it was free. So I was very excited when we saw Panda Express in California's Great America. Got Panda Express, ate lunch. Patriot had been down all day due to, I'm sure, the weather. Again, it was raining on and off all day. But Patriot opened. So we went, we got a back row ride. It was a little rough. Not the best B&M I've ever done in my life, but not the worst. It was fine. After Patriot, we were like, we gotta do this carousel, this giant double-decker carousel. So we went and did that, and it was really fun. We liked the carousel. After the carousel, we used our single-use fast lanes for Gold Striker, and immediate thoughts, I really liked Gold Striker. The airtime is violent. It's not like a nice floaty up, floaty down. It throws you up and then throws you down. Fantastic. Loved it a lot. At this point, we took the gondola over because we were trying to get Woodstock Express. I knew that Woodstock Express and Lucy's Krabby Cabbies were gonna be 2 rides that we were maybe not gonna get on. In my last video, I mentioned that sometimes they will not let you on a kiddie coaster without a child, but we were willing to test our luck for the credit, especially knowing this park is closing. So we took the gondola over to the Planet Snoopy, and it was raining, but we walked over to Woodstock and it had like just gone down as we got in line, and we were like, oh, this is gonna be a great opportunity for us to ask the ride operator if we can ride, so we don't end up waiting for it and then not being able to ride, which happened at Magic Mountain once. And so we walk up to the ride op and we were like, can adults ride the Woodstock Express? And he looks at us and goes, sure, if you fit. And Elle and I kind of look at each other and we're like, if we fit? What does that mean, if we fit? We're a little unsure about that, but we're like, okay, we'll come back and do it. I guess if we fit, we'll take our chances. But at this point, it was time to check into our hotel. We stayed at the Hilton Hotel. It's not on property, but it kind of is. It pretty much backs the parking lot. So there's Levi's Stadium, California's Great America, and this Hilton Hotel. It was a little more expensive to stay there, but totally worth it because we could walk there. We did not have to move our car into the Hilton parking lot. We just walked over, checked into the hotel, took a little break in there, and then walked back to the park. It took us maybe a half hour. Not a long time at all. Very, very convenient. And we went back to the park, went to the Woodstock Express, and we understood what the ride op meant when he said, if you fit. The seats were small, but the seat belts were very small. And Elle and I are not particularly large women, but we are above average height, and that was not working in our favor. So we both we squeezed ourselves in. We got those seatbelts on. It's a type of seatbelt where once you click it, you can't unclick it. A ride op has to come with a little tool. It's got like a little circle in it, and punch the circle in your seatbelt for it to release. But we both got in. On our train, we watched 2 adults and a child get kicked off of Woodstock Express. And the child was maybe middle school age. It was just like a tall kid, and his knees could not fit in there. If you're short and small, you will fit on Woodstock Express. If you are tall, it is a lot harder to fit onto that ride. But we did it. We got the credit. It was an Intamin family coaster, our first of this type. It wasn't bad per se, but because we were a little larger than the intended demographic for this ride, it wasn't super comfortable. But it was okay, not horrible. We've done worse. Dinner time, got some chicken strips and fries from the Grizzly Lodge, and Elle went to go get a churro after, and while Elle was doing it, I went over to Lucy's Krabby Cabbies, who asked if adults could ride. And I kind of went up to the exit and asked the ride op, I'm like, do you need a child to ride this ride? And she looked at me, she's like, no, adults can ride this too. And I was like, no way. Context. We tried to get on Speedy Gonzalez's Hot Rod Racers at Magic Mountain before they renovated the Looney Tunes land when it was empty. There was nobody riding the ride, nobody waiting. And they were like, yeah, no, even if it's empty, like you have to have a child. Lucy's Krabby Cabbies is kind of the same train design and size, if you will. So I thought for sure they were not going to let us ride it, but they did. And so Elle got her churro, met with me, and we waited in line for it, and we got on. We both fit in a single car. It was a very tight squeeze, but we did it. We got on, we got the credit, we got all of the credits at California's Great America. I did not think we were gonna get Woodstock and Lucy's Krabby Cabbies, but we did. Very fortunate that we're just small enough that we could fit in those rides, because if we're any taller, I don't think we would have. It was a fun little kiddie ride. I kind of thought we were gonna fly out. I know the restraints are safe. We weren't literally gonna fly out, but we were moving. We were getting a little bit of airtime on that ride with their very tiny restraints, and Elle and I thought that was very funny. It was an enjoyable little ride. They have these autopia car style cars that you can drive around on a little circuit. It goes under Grizzly, I believe, and by Demon, and we wanted to do that, and so we did, and it was great. We were not upset at all. Fun little break for our day. Went back to Gold Striker. The line wasn't too long, so we were able to get a back row ride on it, and it was so good. It's a back row ride for sure. I kind of went back and forth on if it was a front row ride or back row ride, but Elle and I did the back row, and we looked at each other, we're like, yeah, it's a back row ride. So we got our back row ride on Gold Striker, and that concludes our Saturday. It was pretty much park closing by that point. We were happy. We were ready to go home, left the park, got some ramen, had a really good ramen place very nearby. And that ramen, after all those steps we did and roller coasters, that ramen was so good. They also had infused water. I could have just taken a jug of that water and had it forever. It was so good, so delicious. I'm not gonna do rankings in this video because I'm gonna do that in the next video, part 2. Stay tuned for part 2. But I am gonna do our ride count. So our ride count was as follows. Ride count: Flight Deck, 2. Gold Striker, 2. Character Carousel, 1. Gondolas, 1. Demon, 1. Grizzly, 1. Lucy's Krabby Cabbies, 1. Patriot, 1. Psycho Mouse, 1. Barney's Oldfields Redwood Rally, aka their Autopia cars, 1. Railblazer, 1. Tiki Twirl, 1. And Woodstock Express, 1. So we got 11 roller coasters in, 15 attraction experiences. We did not buy Fastlane, and we were glad we didn't because the ride operations were so bad that we still would have been waiting quite a bit for Fastlane, probably about the same amount that we were waiting in the regular line. Saturday notes. Operations. They were so bad. Another issue was understaffing. I noticed a lot of the groupers were also checking restraints, and that was leaving seats empty because they would start grouping and then have to go run and check restraints, attempting to fill the rest of the train, and then there would be several empty rows going out. For a Saturday, the park was not super busy. Busy because it was a Saturday, but not that busy. Anyways, that was our Saturday, our first day at California's Great America. We went back to our hotel and we slept so we could be prepared to do a second day tomorrow. Stay tuned for part 2.